Hello, and the beginning of another week. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on News about Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Ocansey. Tonight, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayene, has descended heavily on the Ghana Bar Association over what he describes as selective proactivity by the Legal Fraternities Association leadership. We'll get into this matter because the GBA also says they have a well-established position on this. Stay with us. Also, the president's stance and subsequent remarks on the fight against Galamsey, that's illegal mining, has left many persons as well as associations questioning exactly what the commitment is to the fight against Galamsey. The coalition against Galamsey, they've given strong words on government's seeming lackluster position on Galamsey. Stay with us. We'll get into it. We'll bring you the update on the Gwinyere conflict, which has rendered some Ghanaians homeless as refugees in Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. Well, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has been given updates on what the situation is. My colleague Eric Mawana, who was with him over the weekend and last 3 days gone by, is going to be joining us later on Ghana Tonight. So you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and on X. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
Embattled Bono Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Kwame Bafo, also known as Abronye DC, has been granted bail by the Accra Circuit Court on the third attempt by his lawyers. Abronye, who is facing charges of false publication and offensive conduct to the breach of peace, was arraigned before the court over comments he made against the Inspector General of Police. Daniel Marty Addo, lawyer for Abronye, spoke to the media after the hearing.
My client's health was an issue that needed urgent attention. I even attempted to visit him yesterday, but I couldn't get access to him because I couldn't get clearance to see him. But his health is, a serious issue that he needs urgent attention. And that was the basis why I had to run back to the court and pray to my Lord that, my Lord, this is the issue. There has been changes in circumstances, so my Lord, hear me and then hear my prayer. And Lord, be good, my Lord, heard me.
The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayene, has chided the Ghana Bar Association over what he describes as selective interest in legal cases in the country. Speaking at the 2025 Ghana Bar Conference, he challenged the bar to speak out, but not to please the government or the opposition.
The independence of the three institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The three occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession. The three committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the third petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition.
Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafo has urged political leaders to take bold and far-reaching measures to bring the menace of illegal small-scale mining to an end. His speech was read on his behalf by Justice Hafisata Amaliboba at the opening of the 2025 Annual General Conference of the Ghana Bar Association.
Considering the unspeakable death, pain and destruction that Galamsey has brought to this country, I urge political leadership to take bold and far-reaching measures to bring this menace to a long overdue end. We cannot continue to dither in September 2025 on the repeal of the Environmental Protection, Mining in Forest Reserve Regulations 2022, LI 2462, which has permitted mining in forest reserves. It is a good place to start if we sincerely want to win the war against Galamsey.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sami Jemfi, says his outfit is committed to helping reclaim some 1,000 hectares of devastated forest reserve lands in the country. He says the entity is not only interested in buying gold, but will support to ensure responsible and sustainable mining across the country.
To ensure that they are able to discharge, talking about NIMOS, their mandate effectively. Yes, we want gold, but we want gold that is mined responsibly. We want gold that is sourced responsibly. And we'll stop at nothing in supporting the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in achieving that. Because when the gold is mined and sourced responsibly, we get better value. And the reputation of the nation is enhanced, our environment is protected, lives are preserved.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has assured Ghanaians that strict safeguards have been put in place to ensure that convicted hardened criminals cannot be brought into Ghana. Under an agreement with the United States, Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals transiting through Ghana after deportation from the U.S. Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa was speaking at Government Accountability Series.
Ghana must first independently vet the background of those the U.S. intends to deport, to first satisfy ourselves that they do not pose any threat to the security of our country and that they cannot harm our citizens. We have put in place strict safeguards to ensure that convicted, hardened criminals cannot be brought into our country under this understanding. The Mahama administration will never compromise the safety and well-being of Ghanaians.
It's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on TV3 Ghana on YouTube as well, and on 3 News on YouTube and also on X. So many ways you can connect with us. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, we're getting some information quite troubling right now, and our regional correspondent is just giving us some information that is panic and fear has once again gripped Bawku after a deadly ambush in the Fadikafuta suburb left 1 person dead and 7 others with life-threatening injuries earlier today. That's in the early hours of this evening. According to security sources, the victims, including women, were on board a tricycle when unidentified gunmen launched an attack, opening fire indiscriminately. Now, the attackers reportedly fled the scene before the security forces arrived. The injured victims were swiftly transported to the Presbyterian Hospital in Bawku, where they are currently receiving emergency medical treatment. Now, this latest attack disrupted nearly 2 months of relative calm in the area following a strategic shift by the military from peacekeeping to peace enforcement duties. Residents now gripped with fear are calling on authorities to increase the military and police patrols across the municipality to prevent further bloodshed. Now, security agencies have also yet to issue an official statement on the attack, but our sources within the security detachment or the troops in the area have just given this information to our regional correspondent, Castro Senyala, who is just relay this to us. So this is one that we're keeping an eye on here on Ghana Tonight to give you some more details as and when it unfolds here on Ghana Tonight. And it's a very, very troubling development there in Bawku. We're keeping an eye on here on Ghana Tonight. But right away from that, but we're still keep a focus on that. If there are any updates from our sources within the security in the area, we'll be updating you. But coming up next year on Ghana Tonight, the Attorney General, Dominic Akuritinga-Ayene, has chastised members of the Ghana Bar Association for choosing which national issues to speak on, urging them to uphold the principles of the rule of law and constitutionalism rather than aligning themselves with partisan politics. Now, this is one that keeps coming up every now and then. So what do we do, really, to, as it were, deal with that mistrust between the association and the establishment? I'm talking about, in this case, the Attorney General. Now, this was earlier today, but before we get into what the Attorney General said, let me welcome Kwekwan Sassari. He's a former Director of the Ghana School of Law, and then also now founder of one of the training institutions, the private training institutions leading the training of lawyers in this country. He's joining us in the studio. Kwekwan Sassari, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening.
Good evening, I beg your pardon. And first off, I want to find out from you how we can deal with this mistrust, first off, before we get into what the Attorney General said. This keeps coming up every now and then. What do we do?
Thank you very much for having me on your show once again. I don't think it's a mistrust. The relationship between the Ghana Bar Association and the official leader of the bar, that is the Attorney General, on the one hand, and then the relationship between the Ghana Bar Association and the state, on the other hand, can best be explained historically. I don't think it's a mistrust. You see, if you read our history carefully, or examine our history carefully, you will see that the one constituency that has been in the forefront of, the fight for the downtrodden people or the vulnerable or disadvantaged has always been the Bar Association. So we can mention names like John Mensah Saba. So as far back as 1897, you had a lawyer leading the people of Ghana in their struggle against the colonial government with regard to land issues.
But evolution, as we have seen, the reason why I talk about mistrust is, now, that stems from the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayene's position on the selective public pronouncements of the association. And if that's not mistrust, I don't know how you want to describe this, but let's take a listen to the Attorney General, right? Let's take a listen to him earlier today at the bar conference that is ongoing. In fact, this is the first of the entire week-long conference that will be taking place, bringing together all members of the Ghana Bar Association as well. And take a look at this.
Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Araba-Tokono. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed? The three petitions aforementioned touch and concern office holders of three constitutional bodies critical to the sustenance of our democracy. The independence of the three institutions has been guaranteed by the Constitution. The three occupants were all women of significant repute and members of our noble profession. The three committees established pursuant to Article 146 complied with the constitutional procedure to the letter. And yet, the bar found its voice only in relation to the third petition. Coincidentally, the voice of the bar amplified the voice of the opposition. The lawyer in politics must be a voice of reason, moderation, and constitutionalism. The bar must speak out not to please governments or opposition parties, but to defend the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the rights of the ordinary citizen.
So that's the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Kurikintengayene there, clearly questioning the bars, the Ghana Bar Association's, what is described as a selective public pronouncement on issues. He cites three different instances and how the bar has conducted itself, especially the leadership of the association. In the case of Laura Galamsey, Charlotte Osei, they were quiet. And now we've seen consistent pronouncements and actions by the association, the leadership of the Bar Association regarding the processes about the removed Chief Justice or the former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. And it is those inconsistencies that he references, which he says does not give the Bar Association a good image that it desires. Is it one that you underscore and align with, or it's an issue that you think it's far-fetched?
No, I don't. I think on this particular issue, I cannot go along with the Honorable Attorney General.
Why is
you
that?
See, the fact is that the Ghana Bar Association has always taken, a stance on matters of national interest. It may be that in the Charlotte Osei case, the bar was passive, maybe by sheer coincidence. But in any case, the removal of Charlotte Osei was engineered by a lawyer. So, if we say that the bar and the person who petitioned for the removal of Charlotte Osei is a lawyer. And in fact, if my memory serves me, I think they were mates at the law school, yes, and a member of the Ghana Bar Association. So it cannot be said that the bar remained passive. They initiated it.
Well, but if
a member of the bar initiated it, it wasn't the official position of the bar as such.
So couldn't the bar have spoken out?
Yeah, but you see,
or spoken up about it?
To say what? Because what was being done at the time was in accordance with the Constitution. The removal of Charlotte Osei was in accordance with the Constitution.
But how about the removal
now,
of the Chief Justice?
In the case of the immediate past Chief Justice, the Honorable Lady Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu, the bar had taken an official stance in the beginning of advising the general public to allow the Constitution to work. It was in the middle, of the CJ removal process when the bar met. I think it was a media conference and then issued a statement. And I remember criticizing the bar for the statement it issued because it not, purport to represent, the view of the majority. Because I thought that it was uncalled for, having, admitted, that it was in furtherance of the outworkings of the Constitution, it would lie ill in the mouth of the same bar association to purport to distance itself from, a very reasoned position it has taken. And therefore, I will not say that, the bar, is being, passive, or they are doing this or that. Then the second thing that my good friend, the Honorable Attorney General, is suggesting is that it seems the bar now seems to be an appendage of the MPP. That's quite unfortunate.
But why is that?
It's unfortunate because,
what he
the
says
bar
gives him that reason.
Yeah,
so.
but the bar, cannot be accused of being an appendage of the NDC or CPP or MPP. The bar is the bar and will remain the bar.
Has the conduct of the bar lent itself to this kinds of descriptions from where you sit? Just look at it based on the conduct that he references in the past and what is happening now.
Yeah, if we situate the issue in context, it becomes historical. And I was trying to trace the relationship
in the just recent past.
In the recent past, the bar has not behaved any differently. The bar has been, say, I think in the late 90s or early 2000s, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the former president, had presented himself for election as president on the eve of the bar conference in Sunyani. Somebody whispered into the ears of so I was there, and he said, Nana Addo was trying to align himself with former President Jerry Rawlings. That same evening, even those who wish to vote for Nana Addo changed their mind, because the bar's position is, let us always be seen to be objective and credible. And being objective and credible doesn't align, the bar to the party in power. I'm sorry, but that is an unfortunate comment.
I see.
To have come from the official leader. Mind you, the Honorable Attorney General is the official leader of the bar. So if the same person is accusing the bar of partisanship,
so are you saying that
but
you raised concerns with the conduct of the bar in the removal of the Chief Justice, right? You had issue with
because in one breath, they thought, that the president had done, what the Constitution mandated him to do. Right. In another breath, they criticized the president sidestepping. It was...
So you had an issue with that?
Yes. So but that doesn't mean that the bar is partisan. Not at all.
Should the bar have spoken out in the Loretta Lamte case?
Well, you see, if you say the bar, mind you, it draws its membership from the rank and file of the leader. The bar may decide, to make certain pronouncements on certain issues. It all depends upon, the general counsel of the bar. We are members of the bar, but we have an executive. And it is what the executive says that binds everybody.
But does that also send a good signal of the bar that you belong to in terms of the optics, the analysis of the optics? So that if you listen to the Attorney General, he talks about how your position, how inconsistent, you say you agree with partly with him because of the conduct of the bar in this recent instance of the removal of Chief Justice. But then again, you disagree with his conclusion. But then again, in terms of the optics out there, could the bar have done better in its conduct?
Like what?
Specific to the consistency of their instances or their positions that they take.
Well, if we have to count, the number of times, the bar has somersaulted, then, but I don't have the statistics. How many times, the bar has made a U-turn? I don't have the statistics. But what I'm saying is that the Honorable Attorney General is the official leader of the bar. For him, to accuse the bar of partisanship, it seems to me, to be contradictory in terms. As official leader of the bar, he must know, what will go in, into pronouncements of the bar. I can assure you that whatever the bar does is in good faith. You know, it is because the bar continues to be the watchdog.
But would you say that the bar changing its position in the case of the immediate past Chief Justice is in good faith? The one that you had issues with, that they first issued a statement and later came back to change their position on it, is in good faith?
Well, if the executive or the association decides to take a certain stand, which may not reflect the stance of the majority, well, we are bound by whatever they say. But no one has taken the trouble to produce any data showing that majority of the bar are in agreement or in complete communion with what its leadership put forward. The moment the bar did that, I was on air saying that, look, you can't do that, because I took initially I took the view that because then candidate Dramani Mahama had made a certain comment of a mindset initially, but when I looked at the petition and I compared the CJ removal process and the appointment of justices of the Supreme Court, I mean, I was inclined into coming the public to say that what the former Chief Justice did was infradig. You see, in trying to rely on a provision not meant for appointment of justices to the Supreme Court, but rather to fill vacancies of the Judicial Council. And using that, I thought was something that the former Chief Justice ought to be removed.
Right.
So I agreed with the petitioners who said that the conduct of the former Chief Justice was not above reproach, and therefore she should be removed.
Well, but let's make some reference. In the case of the removal of Charlotte Osei, it was the EC workers, Electoral Commission workers, who petitioned, and they were represented by a lawyer, Maxwell Pukwajiman. I think that's the man you were referencing. He was obviously a member of the bar, but not the bar, So it didn't bar the bar from speaking about it, essentially.
To speak against, the bar doesn't speak, just because it has to speak. The bar, makes pronouncements, based on the objective conditions on the ground. If in the view, in the considered opinion of the General Counsel or the bar, there was nothing, for them, to state on the matter, I mean, they are free. Because the bar must not be seen to be, opening its tentacles and spreading sail.
I get the sense that you agree in one sense and you disagree in other areas with the conduct of the
where
bar.
The bar must speak, they must speak. The Attorney General is the official leader of the bar. And if he doesn't like a certain position of the bar, as official leader, I think he should be measured in his public statement, because at the end of the day, he remains the official leader of the bar.
There's another issue which I'll take your take on quickly, and that's coming up next. The lead counsel for the embattled ex-Signals Bureau chief, that's Samuel Atachiam, has also indicated that he has spoken to former Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapa, on the charges against Kwabena Dubois. Samuel Atachiam described the attorney, that's the former National Security Minister, as a critical component of the case of Kwabena Dubois. That's coming up next, and that's the lead counsel for the embattled National Signals Bureau boss, the man you just saw on the screen there. That's Kwabena Dubois. That's Samuel Atachiam. He said that he has actually spoken to the former Minister for National Security, Albert Kandapa, on the charges against his client, Dubois. He said this in an exclusive interview with my colleague, Beatrice Edu. Take a look.
who should come and interpret this? Kandapa? So when you sit down there and you are wise after the event, this is what you think you should do. But do you know what they were trying to do with the operational account? Have you heard anywhere in the world that people will discuss operational accounts of national security? Are you not going to educate the national security? Why didn't you go X or Y? What kind of indiscretion is that?
I'm sure you want to ensure that your client gets a favorable ruling, as it were, or judgment from the court. Have you spoken to the former National Security Minister, Kandapa, yourself?
I have. Why not? He's a very critical individual in the matter.
And he has explained to you why your client did what he did?
Yes.
And you think that is justifiable?
Why not justifiable? Right now, who should be the complainant? Is it not Kandapa who should say that Dubois was a rogue, security operative, and while I was there, he was stealing money. And now you come in there, you want to do your final post-mortem, as if you want to second-guess Kandapa.
But won't that implicate him? Because if you look at the National Signals Bureau, it works with the National Security Council.
Look, can you divorce the Signal Bureau from the Minister for National Security? Can you divorce that office? Do you know the one who superintends over all the affairs of national security? He's a minister. This is just, excuse me to say, an appendage of the system. So you think the minister is deprived of power to superintend Kwabena Dubois?
Let me get you correctly. Are you directly saying that if a Dubois is being tried, perhaps Kandapa should also be interrogated in the midst of this because everything was done in conjunction with his office?
You see, don't you think the investigation is sitting upside down, that you wouldn't want to call Kandapa first? In fact, the first prosecution witness, if this is a crime, should be Kandapa.
How do you know the Attorney General doesn't have it in its pocket, as it were, to call Kandapa?
But the trial is on. They've said they are holding 3 witnesses. We know the witnesses. Kandapa is not one of them.
You talked about, and so you're challenging the Attorney General to call Kandapa if indeed he wants to have a proper case. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I wouldn't want to tell you the tactics I will use. But whoever should exonerate Kwabena Dubois, I'll call to come and exonerate him. If we
Well, that's Samuel Atachia there. He's a lead counsel for Kwabena Dubois, the former National Signals Bureau chief, who is standing trial as we speak. Now, he references the former National Security Minister, that is Albert Kandapa, that he should be called in. It's a key, in his views, figure in this particular case, if the state is really committed to getting to the bottom of this matter. Now, this is a slippery slope, is it not? How do we navigate this path of seeking accountability without necessarily compromising what has been described as sensitive national security information?
It's a very tough question. And I think it is an area that we need, to be very, very careful, if we want, to support our justice delivery system. My good friend Atachia is suggesting that the state, must necessarily list the Honorable Kandapa as a star prosecution witness. Well, the prosecution, reserves to itself, the freedom, to select, its witnesses. And if it feels that Kandapa, shouldn't, be one of the witnesses, I don't see why, the defense counsel or the accused person, can insist that because of a certain relationship, therefore, the former Minister for National Security, must, be brought into, the criminal, trial as a star witness. It's up to, the Director of Public Prosecution, to choose or select, the witness, the persons, to testify as prosecution witness. It is not, if the defense feels that Kandapa is vital, they should know what to do. But I don't think that, you see, because if the state feels that the former security minister, is
will help their case in any way,
they will not, or will come and destroy their case. The prosecution is not, bound, is not obligated. It is not, something that the criminal justice system will insist that, they may or they may not.
He said he's spoken to Kandapa.
And if he's prepared to, to go and speak and the state says no, what can Kandapa do?
Oh, Mr. Koten, Emmanuel Koten is a security analyst, and this matter has both the law and the security at play. He's joining us on Zoom right now. Emmanuel Koten, can you hear us? Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Well, Alfred, thank you for having me. Good evening to our cherished listeners.
Great. During the early period of this trial, there was a document that was leaked which contained some sensitive national security expenditure items. We're going to put that on the screen right now. And now, hearing what Samuel Atachian is talking about, I'll draw you in on how this path should be and could be navigated. And this is it. You recall that there was this Operation Calm Life, anti-kidnapping, violent crimes. This document that was leaked said the reported amount of over 3.7 million had been allocated between 2020 and 2024. The justification on the face of the document was that it was for the stability of the nation, counter violent crimes, and this was received by various personnel and activities. And then also there was a parliamentary, a special enactment of National Signals Bureau Act 2020, some 960,000 on the face of that document between 2020 and 2021, which was then described as MP's allowances for the members of the Defense and Interior Committee. We had some members of the Interior Committee coming out to say, well, they don't know about this. Parliamentary, another one as well, the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, some 309,000 was reported to have been given as allowances. Election special operations, allowances and logistics, over 7.2 million for the 2020 elections, for the stability of the nation and peaceful polling. And this was received by various personnel and activities. Then you have election special ops, allowances and logistics, and then the elections, special operations, support for opposition parties as a communication equipment for election results coalition. This was also denied. At the time, all the opposition parties said they don't even know where this money went to. Then you have some over 5 million CDs said to be election special ops, logistics, vehicles, 2024 Nizam Patrol Platinum, and others. This was supposed to, Mr. Koting, the normal circumstances, this would have qualified to be national security or classified information, right? But in the midst of all of this, we got to know of this. It became public because it was leaked. Now, Samuel Atachian is suggesting that Kandapa is one person the state will have to speak to if they want to get to the bottom of this matter. Is this as a path that would be worth traveling on this case?
Well, Alfred, thank you for having me once again. You see, one of the fundamental challenges in democratic societies is ensuring that national security operatives don't become shield for corruption whilst maintaining operational security. And here's why, Alfred. You see, democratic countries establish the fight against corruption as a core national security interest. Because corruption, as we all know, corrodes public trust. It hobbles effective governance. It also distorts markets and equitable access to service. And sometimes it undercuts development efforts. And eventually it contributes to national fragility, extremism, and migration, and what have you. In our part of the world, our national security architecture is opaque. as a result of that, people hide under it to perpetuate all manners of fraud. And this is a classical example of why we need to learn from best practices. Let's look at the United Kingdom, Alfred. You see, the UK has established the Intelligence and Security Committee of Parliament with statutory responsibility for oversight of the UK intelligence community. That is included the MI5 and the MI6. If you look at the committee, it was strengthened under the Justice and Security Act of 1913, the Security Act of 2013, sorry. And if you look at the legal powers it has, it is not voluntary like our part of the world, where any small thing we say that because of national security consideration, we can do A or B or C, creating that environment where people can perpetuate this kind of crime. If you look at the case of Canada, the Canadian, they replaced its previous oversight body with the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency, which now includes oversight of all national security and intelligence activities. So you see that their operations and oversight is responsive to the needs of their democracy. In the United States of America, you know, the FBI operates under multiple oversight layers. We have the Department of Justice, the Congressional Oversight Committees,
Right.
and the Judicial Review Investigative Steps, the National Accountability through the Office of Professional Responsibility, and Whistleblower Protection for Bureau employees. In our part of the world, Alfred, what is really our national security architecture? So I would think our parliamentary oversight committee is letting us down, because Parliament itself has become overly partisan. If you watch the debate in Parliament, anything the government of the day brings on the floor of Parliament, once it has the majority as what the government wants, everybody is whipped in line.
Right.
So now we need to look at how we can overcome some of these things through the tight transparency principle. And when I talk about the tight transparency principle, government must allow accessibility, timely information about public spending when it comes to defense and security information. Exemptions based on national security are necessary, which I agree as a security practitioner. But there is the need for clear and rigorous guidelines for withholding information to prevent abuses, just like we are having in this instant case. So it's a very interesting story. We are watching the judiciary as a whole to see how they proceed with this matter. We are not looking that they should hang the dog because it has a bad name. There should be precedent so that it can guide our democracy moving forward. And as a country too, we need to start having a conversation as to what we need to do moving forward over some of these things. I think we can introduce independent anti-corruption agencies. Unfortunately, we have the special prosecutor and the UOCO.
Right.
Also, if you look around things around these agencies, there's political undercurrent somewhere, or they are poorly funded. And the judicial oversight, I mentioned the judiciary.
Yeah, so essentially the point is that you want this entire national security, tag that is given to or used to describe some information as sensitive has to be done away with, so that it would be one of the ways of dealing with corruption in the security sector. Appreciate you for this.
Definitely, because
great.
If you look at Ghana's case today, it illustrates why corruption why corruption in national security is not about moral failure, but it's about system begging to be gained. So we have deliberately created systems where officials of this national security operative can bend by their whims and caprices for personal gains or whatever.
Right. Thank you so much. Emmanuel Putin is a security analyst joining us on this. So, in effect, since that's for you, it is not really an obligation for the state to. It's just a matter of choice. No. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
Kwekwasa Sarah is the former director of the Ghana School of Law, and then also the founder and director of Mount Crest University College, also training upcoming lawyers. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, the matter of Galamsey is on the radar this evening because the coalition against Galamsey is saying that it is outraged over what it described as government's failure to recognize the urgency of the illegal mining crisis. We're back after this quick break on this one. Stay with us. Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe is our guest.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paints because they're just small paints that paint huge area, meaning more profit for me. Great value for money.
As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo kendini, ehu be here, semecha sapapadia to amame manfo. Kale Charcoal's natural ingredients, eno, and a bomb is seho bine, a maniswing, nesansu mama hotoso, e will beg you.
Kale Charcoal Toothpaste.
Choose Kale Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kale, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson, Asamo.
Me didn't tum. Mr. Freddy Calica just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Freddy once now.
Hey, is that you? Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action.
Me did it, Sasso spray. Mr. Freddy Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso.
Come tum preko.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trout from Kaswa dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late, of course.
Star 712 hush. You go give me the luckiest. Go
feel from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be that luckiest.
God Kwamio!
Send your God apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompt and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
From the heart of Ghana, a new movement is rising. The maiden edition of the Africa Tourism Renaissance Conference 2025 will bring together women, youth, SMEs, creative minds, investors, and the diaspora to transform Africa's tourism and adjacent industries. 2 days of powerful panels, interactive masterclasses, exhibitions, and networking. The event is under the theme Accelerating Africa's Development, the role of a robust tourism and tourism adjacent industry in catalyzing sustainable economic growth, human capital development, industries governance, and infrastructure. This event is slated for the 25th and 26th of September 2025 from 7 a.m. at the Accra Marriott Hotel. For inquiries, call 0535 139919. ATRC 2025, the Renaissance begins in Ghana. This event is organized by the 6th Africa Region Initiative in partnership with Accra Marriott Hotel and supported by TV3.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period na se problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na me coin point no mo hwe me mogam no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fire no ene ma won kura mienu hofro kwa na mkwan mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nuru a ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di end point what dance am me call you no me Johnson sema na enkoyie empeso na maye mre nyina na magina sebema na me be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Every
wondering why Franco new television brands are now the #1 choice on the market, beautifully with its new style and sizes, crystal clear 4K pictures, Bluetooth, smart, and it has a miracle that durability to withstand this tropical weather and power-saving mechanism. Our warranty is a sure guarantee for your satisfaction. Furthermore, our prices are very moderate and affordable. Franco television ranges from 32 inches to 100 inches. You can make a smart choice as you walk into any Franco shop nationwide. For further enquiries, you can visit our website at www.francotrading.com or call the numbers on your screen. Franco, home of quality television.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come.
It's on SuperSport all season long. Pay your subscription today. Dial star 759 hash. Available on DSTV and GoTV.
Back, this is Ghana Tonight. The coalition against Galamsey is saying it is outraged over what it describes as the government's failure to recognize the urgency of the illegal mining crisis. This comes on the back of the president's position about not being too eager. He says he's reluctant to declare a state of emergency. This was in response to a question that journalists asked him when he met the media last week. Let's take a listen to the president first on his position on the calls for him to declare a state of emergency. Let's take a listen to the president now.
face from illegal and irresponsible mining is deeply distressing and disappointing. The coalition again reiterates our disappointment with the recent statement of His Excellency the President, and these statements seem to support the environmental terrorism. The President's narrative and de facto justification on such a platform will only serve to give oxygen to impunity. This is deeply unfortunate and regrettable. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission is considering a request from the Ghana Water Company Limited for a staggering 280% increase in water tariffs. This is not a request for a tariff increase.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency. We have the opportunity to arrest anybody, to confiscate any such thing. There are laws for forest protection and all that give us enough powers to be able to act. Implementing a state of emergency might sound nice, but it should be the last extreme, the last resort. So for now, let's exercise all the powers we have. And if it becomes necessary for a state of emergency, then we'll look at it. It means we have to go to Parliament. The President can't just declare a state of emergency without, going to Parliament, because there's a limit to how long you can maintain that state of emergency.
That's the President there, and these are the issues that he says, the progress that underpins his reluctance. Over 1,000 illegal miners arrested, special calls in the offing to speed up prosecution, 440 and over excavators impounded, more than 1,400 water pumps destroyed, 300 chamfam machines seized in recent months, 980 security personnel recruited and deployed to protect water bodies and forest reserves. By the end of the year, additional 1,020 personnel will be added. Engineer Dr. Kena Shigbe is joining us. He's the leader of the convener of this Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. They addressed a press conference earlier today. Engineer Dr. Shigbe, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me.
Great. Now, with all the progress as outlined by the President earlier in the week, that's last week, does that justify the reluctance that he has to declare a state of emergency that you are asking that it should be done now? All of this progress that he talked about.
Well, the interesting thing is that not only is the Ghana Coalition asking for it, the Catholic Bishops' Conference have also issued a statement, and they are also asking for it. They say, we therefore urge the President and his government to declare without hesitation a state of emergency in most of the affected mining zone and around endangered water bodies. And we completely agree with this. You see, the President talks about the last resort. The last resort is when turbidity that is supposed to be at 5 NTUs is at 32,000 NTUs. Last year, when we started clamoring, at the Sechuehiman water treatment plant, it was 14,000 NTUs that we're talking about. The President talks about other things that have to be done. He talks about 9 forest reserves, but there are over 40 forest reserves that have been impacted so gravely. The President talks about chamfans having been seized. But if you see chamfans, and currently, when you drive by on the road from Takwa all the way to Obuasi, by the side of the road, Accra to Kumasi, you will see it by the side of the road. Get to Dunkwa. There are people still sitting on the water bodies who are currently, mining in these water bodies. So, His Excellency, you might mean well, but the point about it is that it is by the fruits, it's the outcomes that you would use to determine some of this. And unfortunately, as we speak, Kwenyaku water treatment plant is closed. Bonsa water treatment plant is closed. The Chebi water treatment plant goes in and out. So the issues that are confronting us, we have all of these laws. But your Minister for Interior is still deporting foreigners who are caught up in these issues. You have had situations recently. There is a group that went in on the rampage, burning, the legal miners, the equipment, and all of that. So there are challenges that are confronting us. And just as the coalition has said, and the Catholic Bishops' Conference are also saying, we're not saying declare a state of emergency over any other everywhere else. We are saying declare a state of emergency in particular places. The president talks about the issues about confiscating. If you look at the current law that we have, Act 995, you would confiscate an excavator. But for you to be able to forfeit it, you have to go to court, go through all that long process. Under a state of emergency, these special courts that are being created, they could be given the mandate like we had in the UK, where when you are arrested, within 24 hours, you could be jailed. They could be given a mandate in such a way that once all of these 1,000-something excavators that have been arrested, though we've not gone through the processes of going to court and anything done, under a state of emergency, all of these could be forfeited, sold, and the money is given to NIMOS and the other security forces to be able to act. So we completely agree with the Catholic Bishops' Conference, with everybody else who is clamoring that, definitely there are some good actions that are being taken, but there's a lot more that has to be done. And His Excellency needs to realize the fact that a lot of his farmers are losing their farmlands. People are losing their lives. And so we are in a situation that is worse. If you look into
the spokesperson in charge of government communication, or that's a spokesman for the president, minister in charge of government communication, Felix Kwachofosu, he re-echoes what the president said, that this state of emergency should be the last resort. I stand the risk of sounding like Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. You want the state of emergency declared now. The president says, well, it's going to be the last resort. It's not off the table, but then maybe in the nearest possible future. But you want it now.
So the reason why we're saying it now is that if you go and look into the Constitution and you look into Article 31(9) A and B, the circumstances which warrant a state of emergency, includes what the Galamsey is currently doing, because these environmental criminals are taking actions that are depriving large communities of potable water, which is essential to life. It also has rendered taking the necessary measures that are required to secure our public safety. Is our public safety not compromised? Is the defense of this country not at risk? Currently, we have all these issues of armed guards. The president talks about 9 forest reserves that have been reclaimed, but you will realize that it's about 45. Go back to Abrewa Ninkrai, as we're talking about. Abrewa Ninkrai is not secured. So all of these plans that the president talks about, yes, plans are afoot. Okay. But he talks about the plans without any timelines. It's the reason why you realize that we ask that, the president should give us milestones and timelines that will serve as guides for continued action and demonstration of the president's commitment. So yes, there are some actions that are being taken, but unfortunately the results that we are seeing is so. Alfred, tell me, 14,000 NTUs and 32,000 NTUs. If you look at that, would you say we have progressed or we have not? That all those chamfans have been seized? Yes, but what is the outcome? We talk about 1,000 or so people being arrested. How many of these people are the kingpins that His Excellency told us about in October last year that are the people who are supposed to be arrested? How is it that the Attorney General has asked Iyoko to deal with some people? How is it that we are not hearing anything about that? We know about Akunta Mining. Akunta Mining, the directors, they were arrested. Nobody is gone to court yet. We know that Iyoko, the Attorney General, had also talked about Professor Fripo Boateng's, report, and some of these the past government people who are implicated in it. We have not heard anything yet. So it is important that His Excellency carries all of us along. And that's the reason why we're saying that the agency that is required is so critical, And so when you hear Dr. Cadman Mills talks about the fact that we cannot sacrifice our lives for the benefits that we are getting, out of, what Gold Board is doing, it's a fact. We can still coexist. Gold Board should be able to do its things, and we should be able to do mining in a responsible manner. But unfortunately, currently, what we are doing, the irresponsibility is just too much.
Okay. Engineer Dr. Kanashibe, appreciate you for this. And so as I thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. This conversation, as you do know, is one that will sustain as well in the coming days and getting the divergent views on this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint, superior durability, superior.
Spray and coil.